Hello, EDCI 702FZ, the Fayetteville cohort. Hello, it's Dr. Palermo with your week 9 message instructional video. It is post-spring break. I hope that you use that spring break opportunity to have a little bit of a rest and a break. I hope you also use some of that time to get caught up. I know that I did. It's March 19th as I'm recording this. And it is a pretty special week in the life of the university because the running Bulldogs are going to the big dance. And though I think that your focus should be on your graduate work as well as what you do to earn a living, I know I spend a little bit of my time devoted to sports, and the fact that we have an intersection of an excellent program and two excellent programs here with the running Bulldog men's basketball team making the men's NCAA tournament is pretty special. Anyway, I hope that you're telling all of your friends that that is, yes, your graduate school, Gardner-Webb, playing Virginia in Friday's NCAA tournament first round. I'm glad they didn't draw the Tar Heels. Okay, so there's a big dance Friday, and I hope that you'll take time for a basketball game. But in the meantime, it is week 9, and program evaluation needs to be on your radar. While you're working hard to finish up the OA and the CNA, you need to get started on this program evaluation. And if you haven't figured it out, Fitzpatrick is your friend when it comes to the program evaluation. You have several chapters that you're supposed to read in this week, and I do want you to read all of those. In particular, in chapter 4, well, big picture, program evaluation. If you're old like me, you probably didn't hear about program evaluations early on in your career. This is an emerging science in the field of psychology, social. You know, in education, we like to think of ourselves as scientists, but as social scientists, it's a fairly new field. Program evaluation didn't really emerge as a science until the 1960s or 70s. And even then, evaluators were having a hard time coming up with a common definition and purpose. In government and in non-governmental NGOs, program evaluation is now common, but the models are very different, and the purposes for which these evaluations are done often drive the approaches. So chapters 4, 5, 6, 7 are asking you to look at a variety of different approaches for program evaluations and to describe or choose one or combinations of them in order to describe the program evaluation that you're doing at your school. So chapter 4 is a little bit of an overview, and please zero in chapter 4 on page 123, where there's a classification scheme for evaluation approaches. I hope that this will make sense to you. You're probably doing a comprehensive judgment of the quality of your program. You're not doing a really in-depth analysis. You might be looking at characteristics of the program. You might be rendering a decision about the program. You might be coming out at the end of your PE and making a recommendation to quit this program or switch to a different program or eliminate parts of the program. You may be making a decision, and you may be focusing on participation of stakeholders to try to increase the number of stakeholders using this program in order to get their feedback to improve the program. So yes, those are some broad approaches that are discussed on page 123 in chapter 4. Chapter 5 starts in some of the approaches that others have taken in program evaluation. And here they broadly talk about an expertise approach. Expertise. If you work in a school, then you probably have survived an accreditation process. Southern Association, SACS, CAPE, some sort of accreditation process. That's where experts come into your school and tell you how things are going. That is an expertise-oriented program evaluation, okay? They're evaluating your whole school as a program against some fixed set of standards in which this group is supposedly experts. And so experts are going to come in and tell you how to do things better. The other approach here is a consumer-oriented approach. And very often now, as educators, we are thinking about our parents or students as our customers, and a consumer-oriented evaluation approach asks, what do we want from our schools, and are we meeting those needs? I like to think about that in a broader term, well, or in a non-educational term. If I'm thinking about buying a car, I'm thinking about how would I evaluate a car? Well, if I'm strictly thinking about the car as transportation from point A to point B, that's one set of criteria that I might use to judge the car. If I live at the top of a mountain and I need a four-wheeler to get me there in all kinds of different weather and terrain, that's a different approach that I'm bringing as a consumer to this evaluation of a car. So what purpose do you want to serve? Or do you want transportation? Do you want something that just goes and stops? Do you want something that's economical or ecologically correct and not leaving a big carbon footprint? So again, the type of program evaluation that you're going to do, the approach that you take, needs to be clarified. And again, think about buying a car and all of the different different needs, approaches, purposes that you bring to buying a car, and then try to apply something like that to your program. Chapter 6 on program oriented approaches. Okay, so I just mentioned in passing chapters 4 and 5. Look at chapter 6. I think you're probably going to do something that falls into chapter 6 with different, one of the various different program-oriented approaches. Tyler, in particular, with his objectives-based, objectives-oriented evaluation approach, may be probably what many of us are doing in education. We have this reading program. The objective is to teach phonics or to teach whole languages, to improve kids' reading skills. We're evaluating the program based on those sets of goals and objectives and how well they're met. So an objective approach based on Tyler might be it. Logic models, you know, we get into logic models with inputs, activities, outputs. That doesn't have to be your approach, but you're already describing your program in terms of a logic model, and some use the logic model as the approach in this program-oriented evaluation mode. So if that didn't totally confuse you, then I want you to read chapters 4 through 7 carefully, 4 through 6 carefully, and think about your program-oriented approach. Why? In your PE, it asks you, what is your approach? So think about this, read about this, write about this, post something in the discussion board telling us about your approach to your PE, and then make sure that you're citing Fitzpatrick so that you can cut and paste that right into your PE later. Write something here for this discussion board that will, you can multi-purpose, okay? I spent a little bit of time in our last class meeting over here in resources for course content. I want you to go back here, please, and take a look at some of these and write about them. In the PE folder, there are subfolders and lots of different stuff. This evaluation workbook, the CDC workbook, was used to design your PE. It's long, it's detailed. If you want to go back and really understand what you're doing with your PE A, B, and C, it's designed from this. The Better Evaluation site has some good stuff, and I hope that maybe some of you want to explore that and share some things. The logic model resources have, again, good logic model examples. They're all different. There's not one official Gardner Webb logic model. The SIP resources break it down into content, input, output, outcomes, and there's an evaluation template that you can use. This is the one that we used in class to get started on our PE. So at any rate, those are some resources that you are to read about and respond to in week 9. Yeah. So do a little bit of reading here and then respond. I need to help clarify this assignment for you, but I do want you to write something and post something for me. We want you to not wait till the end of the semester to submit all of your OA. And this is an attempt to help you, guide you, give you some feedback on your writing. Where specifically in the rubric does it talk about the site's school culture? Well, in the introduction, and then not so much in the rubric. So in my way of thinking, what you're writing here is part of your summation, part of the ending of your OA. And perhaps it'll fit in the rubric section where it asks you to prioritize your SWOT. School culture is an amalgam of all of the internal and external forces and factors of your school. What makes some schools happy, joyous places where children run in the morning and can't wait to learn? What makes some schools toxic and difficult places to work and to learn? School culture describes that happiness or that toxicity. Sometimes it is factors like leadership. Sometimes it's multiple factors of changing demographics, a changing community. Sometimes some schools are so brand new. I know that in my experience in Wake County, schools were springing up in the suburbs so fast that sometimes there really wasn't a school culture per se. The new neighborhood was so new and the school was so new that whatever stamp that the administration, that the leadership had put on it in the beginning might become the culture, but it's fairly new. Many of you are in schools that have been in communities 20, 30, 40 longer years. And in that case, there should be a rich culture that either reflects the community or does not. Maybe again, shifting demographics in your town or in your district has resulted in a declining enrollment in your school, or a boost of enrollment with tons of trailers out back. This is the type of flavor about your school that I hope that you're capturing after you've done your PESL and your POSL and you have analyzed your data. What's the impression? What's the feeling that you're getting about your school? And how can you support that with the data and the analysis that your team has done? So there's not really a wrong post here for your OA school culture. I'm thinking it's a summation of the prioritized SWOT that might be the last couple of paragraphs of your OA. What are you saying in summation about your school? So post something there for culture and I'll give you some feedback. And if I can find out specifically what portion of the rubric the designers were thinking about here, I'll give you some other feedback. But nothing's wrong as far as your initial posting of the formative assessment of the OA school culture. Okay? Have a great week. Go running Bulldogs. I hope that you did get some rest and we'll be ready for our next school meeting, class meeting, face-to-face when we're back together on April 6th and 7th. Thank you. Have a great day.